Hello and good afternoon. My name is Reverend Barbara, and I'm here today to present a quick, just a quick lesson on, on the gift of emotions. The cited sources are Luke 19th chapter 41st verse, John 2nd chapter 15th verse, John 11th chapter 35th verse, John 15th chapter 11th verse. I will be referring to those chapters and verses, as well as John 16th chapter, verses 32 and 33. John 2nd chapter, verses 15 and 16, and that is John 11th chapter, verses 3 and 5. Let me begin. Again, this is very short. Okay, what is the intention? The intention is to demonstrate and for us to understand that we all have feelings. And feelings are our gifts. Our gifts to ourselves. God's gift to us is feelings. Our gifts back to God is our ability to authentically express our feelings. And express our emotions. So, according to Luke 19th chapter 41st verse, as he approached Jerusalem, he meaning Jesus, as Jesus approached Jerusalem, he saw the city and he wept over it. As we know, Jerusalem, coming from a metaphysical Bible perspective, Jerusalem means peace. So when he saw Jerusalem, Jesus saw peace. And he was about the countryside, and he was working with the disciples, trying to keep them in order, and he was dealing with a whole lot of other challenges. But when he saw Jerusalem, he wept because he felt an overwhelming surge of peace. John 2nd chapter 15th verse, so he made a whip out of cords and drove them all from the temple courts, both the sheep and the cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. It was okay. It's okay to be angry. When the master teacher Jesus went into the temple, he saw money changers, and he saw they were playing bingo games, and there were animals in there. And imagine you going home, and when you go home, you see in your home animals that don't belong to you, and you see people gambling in there, and you don't allow gambling. You don't even know these people, and they're in your home. Okay, so you would do whatever it takes to get them out of your home, because they're engaging in behavior that you don't approve of. So Jesus was very upset because they were in his spiritual father's house, and they were engaging in non-spiritual behavior. So he sat down and he formed a whip. Took him some time to braid those cords together. And when he was done, then he just was about the business of, if you will, cleaning house. John 11th chapter 35th verse, again, Jesus allowed himself to grieve over the loss of his friend Lazarus. Okay, his friend Lazarus died, and Mary and Martha came to tell Jesus that his friend had died, and initially Jesus cried. Then it's noted later on that Jesus brought his son Lazarus, it brought his friend Lazarus back to life. Okay? John 15:11 chapter, quote, I have told you this, that so my joy may be in you, that your joy may be complete. So if Jesus' joy is within us, then no matter how much joy we have, the whole 100% of joy, or the sum total of joy, is contingent upon the amount of the anointing or the Christ love that we allow to come within. The amount of light, of love, of Jesus' love that we allowed in. Okay? So Jesus allowed himself to always be very present in the moment. Always be very, it's our job, if we can, to be present in the moment. And the only way to do that, I would think, is to decrease multitasking. All right? If we're on a computer and we're talking on the phone or the speakerphone and we have the children in the background and we're trying to discipline them and keep them quiet and we're on the phone and I mean we can only stretch ourselves so far to maintain effective outworkings of whatever it is we're trying to do. So if we're trying to complete tasks, which one is much more important? Is it quality or quantity? Yes, we can have quantity, but will it be quality? So uh, always try to emulate the master teacher Jesus when he allowed himself to always remain present and in that moment. Jesus also felt feelings of affection, anguish, anger, compassion, distress, grief, gladness, indignation, joy, love, peace, sadness, sympathy, trouble, and weariness. And if Christ is going to be our role model of perfect spiritual and emotional maturity, then perhaps we can learn by taking a look at a few of Jesus' emotions. For example, peacefulness. Along with love and compassion, one other emotion of Jesus seemed to have a unifying effect upon his entire personality is love and compassion. That is the emotion of peace. As Jesus prepared to leave his disciples in death, he told them, but a time is coming that has come when you will be scattered to each of his own home. You will leave me all alone. Yet I am not alone, for my Father is with me. I have told you these things so that you in me will have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have come to overcome the world. John 16 chapter verses 32 and 33. Grief and sorrow. Jesus was pained when he saw others suffering or missing out on all that was available for them. And one of the most poignant moments of his public life, John tells us that when Jesus saw Mary weeping over Lazarus' death, he was deeply moved in spirit, and he was also troubled. So when Mary and Martha, and again I cannot reiterate this one point, because we need to understand that as strong and as insightful as the master teacher Jesus was, he was not so much of an egotistical man that he did not allow himself to show emotion. So when Mary and Martha came and told him that his best friend Lazarus was dead, Jesus, for a second, he forgot. He must have disconnected for a minute of who he is and whose he is. Who he is a spiritual man living in a spiritual world governed by spiritual laws. Who he is the Son of Spirit, the Son of divine love, the Son of God. So for a second, he forgot. We forget too. So he forgot that. But then he regained his balance. He regained his balance, and then he told Mary and Martha, take me to him. So although he was sorrowful, he did not try to deny his feelings. Sometimes we do that, okay? Especially our men. Our men, they want to, our society has groomed our men to hide their feelings. But men have feelings too. And it's okay, men, to show your feelings. It's okay. It is a sign of strength. Okay. So his strength, Jesus' strength, showed through his tears. And he had enough strength to weep. Another emotion is anger. Just as Jesus' compassionate nature led him to grieve and sorrow, it also, as we said earlier, led him to be angry. Perhaps again, the best known scenario is when he was in the temple and others were gambling. Okay? So he did not appreciate doves being sold, animals being sold, nothing that's supposed to be going on in a church or in a temple or in a tabernacle was supposed to be, that was not supposed to be going on. He did not like it. Okay? So think too of Jesus' interactions with the religious leaders of his day. Think about it. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar. He had to tell that to one of his disciples. Another situation was there was a king. There were two kings actually, and one did not want to kill Jesus, and the other one did not want to kill Jesus. But the multitude, they wanted to kill Jesus. Okay, so imagine being in a scenario such as that. Okay, so he had to deal with politics. He had to finesse his way, because he had finesse. He had to finesse his way in and out of those situations, political situations. Okay, and they were periodically marked by assertive conflicts and sometimes angry confrontations. Jesus was angered by the cruel legalism that had led the Pharisees to be much more committed to fulfilling the letter of the law than to lovingly doing well by healing or helping others on the Sabbath. So instead of the political individuals being open to helping, if they were going to work, if they were going to serve, then serve by helping. But instead of serving by helping, they were serving in ways of being political. And that's not how serving works. There must be a day when we're going to rest and go within and meditate and reflect. Also, let's see what else. Then we have love. Of all of the gifts, of all of the emotions, unconditional agape love sets the precedent. If compassion characterizes Jesus' feelings toward the multitudes, love represents his relationship with those closest to him. John, the hot-tempered one, the impulsive follower who eventually became known as the Apostle of Love, tells us that as Lazarus may lay dying, his sisters Mary and Martha sent word to Jesus, quote, "Lord, the one you love is sick." Then at that point, John records that Jesus said that Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Now, I find it curious that John wrote that Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus. He identified three, but he named two. He called the named Martha, and he called the name Lazarus. But what about Mary? Mary wasn't her sister's name Mary Magdalene. Some would even go so far as to say that she's the wife, but that's another story. So I don't know if you got anything out of today. I just took a break. I took a whole break for the summer. I didn't do anything. I didn't write. I didn't read. Well, I did read, but I didn't write. I didn't facilitate any groups. I didn't do anything remotely close to working. I engaged in spiritual practice for myself. I fed my spiritual soul. I gave myself permission to feed my soul, and that was and is well with my soul. It is well. It is well. It is well. It is well with my soul. I may have to do this one over. If not, all I can say is today is September 10th. Today is the second day of school here in Poughkeepsie. Children have returned to school, and I should not have gave the date because now it's dated, but that's okay. I'm in a good mood. All is well. Light, love, and peace. Thank you.